Welcome back to another episode of Stand on Guard. I'm your host, David Creighton. Welcome back, and it's Saturday, July 27th. Can't believe July is going so fast. I'm hoping the time slows down a bit for the rest of the summer. And thank you yes, for finally getting some viewers here. I know it was short notice, but I'm trying to get out to do some things today. But I wanted to share this video with you. It is worth waiting for. Be right back.
So we are in a very precarious position in this country. We need political change, but we also need the resolve to resist.
Yes, please like this station, this broadcast. We are here for you. We want to be your news channel, your go-to station when you need to know what's really going on from somebody who's worked in this nefarious capital of Ottawa for too many years. And I'd like to get back to the West Coast again sometime, but I'm here for a while. Have you seen the Kamala Harris video? Yes, I said Kamala right. You see, if you say it the wrong way, you're a racist, according to some people. But this is something Elon Musk shared on X yesterday, and it's really gone viral. This is an AI, artificial intelligence, parody video of the vice president, Kamala Harris, who, of course, now is running for president, even though she hasn't received the nomination from the Democratic Party. They haven't had their convention yet. And yet she says she's running for president. The whole thing is really bizarre because she was the most unpopular vice president in history. People remember her failures at the border, for instance, that she's an incredibly shallow person. But of course, the argument's going to be made that if you don't vote for her, you're racist and you're sexist, you're misogynistic, and all of these things, even though she is just incredibly an unvarnished shade of incompetence. But watch this video because it is absolutely wonderful.
Hi, Kamala Harris, and your Democrat candidate for president, because Joe Biden finally exposed his senility at the debate. Thanks, Joe. I was selected because I am the ultimate diversity hire. I'm both a woman and a person of color. So if you criticize anything I say, you're both sexist and racist. I may not know the first thing about running the country, but remember, that's a good thing if you're a deep state puppet. I had 4 years under the tutelage of the ultimate deep state puppet, a wonderful mentor, Joe Biden. Joe taught me rule number 1, carefully hide your total incompetence. I take insignificant things and I discuss them as if they're significant. And I believe that exploring the significance of the insignificant is in itself significant. I'm talking about the significance of the passage of time, right? The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time, and there is such great significance to the passage of time. Another trick is trying to sound black. I pretend to celebrate Kwanzaa, and in my speeches, I always do my best Barack Obama impression. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type. And okay, look, maybe my work addressing the root causes of the border crisis were catastrophic, but my knowledge of international politics is truly shocking. The United States shares a very important relationship, which is an alliance with the Republic of North Korea. It is an alliance that is strong and enduring. And just remember, when voting this November, it is important to see what can be, unburdened by what has been. And by what has been, I mean Joe Biden. You think the country went to over the past 4 years? You ain't seen nothing yet.
Gillette.
Yeah, that was beautiful. And of course, she's also dispensed her wisdom about the war in Ukraine by saying Ukraine is a large nation in Europe and Russia is a larger nation in Europe. You cannot find a more shallow candidate. And it amazes me how the Democrats think for a minute this woman is going to have any appeal amongst average voters. Yes, there will be woke voters who will cast their ballots for her simply because she is a woman and a woman of color. Although she can't call herself an Afro American, apparently, because her ancestry was not really African. So, but I'm just waiting for the Canadian newspapers and media to say how wonderful it is that the presidential candidate for the Democratic Party spent time in Montreal and she's almost a Canadian. Just wait for it. But if you didn't see this the other day, here's some more of the eloquence of Kamala Harris.
And what can be and be unburdened by what has been, you know? What can be unburdened by what has been.
What can be unburdened by what has been.
What can be unburdened by what has been.
What can be
Unburdened by what has been.
what we can see, what we believe can be unburdened by what has been.
What can be unburdened by what has been. What can be unburdened by what has been. What can be unburdened by what has been.
Who we can be unburdened by who we have been.
What can be unburdened by what has been. Where we can be unburdened by where we have been and unburdened by where we are right now. What can be unburdened by what has been. What can be unburdened by what has been.
What can be unburdened by what has been. What could be unburdened by what had been. What can be unburdened by what has been.
Yeah, I know you can only watch so much of that, but it doesn't get much better if you do an exhaustive search of her speeches. She's probably said that 150 times to various audiences. And I'm going to pull out a bunch of quotes or quotations from the Kamala Harris lexicon to demonstrate exactly how little this woman understands about the world or even her own country, and how she finds it difficult to articulate any message or policy. It's just amazing. But I want to get to another issue here. This is also generated an incredible amount of controversy. The opening ceremonies of the Olympics in Paris, just phenomenal in terms of how globalist France is becoming. France, if you've been watching the news, is a totally schizophrenic country, divided now between left and right. The left and the so-called moderates have ganged up together to keep the common sense conservatives out of power. And France is going literally insane. But these opening ceremonies would lend even further credence to that statement. And this is a segment from the Indian media. And I often watch Indian media because it's surprisingly and refreshingly objective with global news. It really doesn't have an axe to grind for anybody. So I found this report interesting, but it gives you an idea of how hedonistic and how France has become a nation of cyberites, essentially. It's an incredible depiction of how France has become not just totally globalist, but anti-Christian to the extreme. This is a country that is overwhelmingly Roman Catholic, and yet they don't seem to have any problem ridiculing Jesus Christ or Christianity.
The 2024 Paris Olympics opening ceremony for the 33rd Olympic Games on Friday turned France's capital into a colossal amphitheater. The iconic River Seine served as a track for the athletes' parade, and the ceremony began with the 6-kilometer-long Parade of Nations. Athletes from 205 countries and one refugee team sailed down the Seine on boats despite heavy rain. American pop superstar Lady Gaga performed at the event. Event organizers called the ceremony the biggest in Olympic Games history, with more than 3 lakh people watching on the banks of the Seine and billions tuned in on television. Some acts, including the recreation of Jesus Christ the Last Supper, the beheading of Mary Antoinette, and Philip Catherine's depiction of Dionysus, the god of wine, sparked controversy on social media. Netizens called the ceremony disrespectful and absolute garbage. One user wrote, and I quote, "They are literally mocking the Last Supper, and majority of France are followers of Christ." Cricket presenter Alan Wilkins slammed the event as the worst ever opening ceremony, writing on X, "Is this the worst ever opening ceremony of an Olympic Games? Absolute garbage to deliver to a global audience." Another user said, "The worst, period. So chaotic, messy, bland, and boring. No passion at all. A bunch of robots would have done better." Some users said that while the ideas behind the acts were good, the execution was bad. This is the third time Paris is hosting the Olympics after 1900 and 1924.
And we might not see another one there again. But this is indicative of how Europe has the elites of Europe have become incredibly disrespectful for their own history, their own culture, their own religious heritage. They just serve a global master, and that's really what what this was all about. I found it to be absolutely disgraceful. I'm not going to dwell on it anymore. But think about this. This is France, still ruled by that idiot President Emmanuel Macron. And this is the guy who wants to have a war with Russia, even though it would mean the annihilation of France. And yet they stage these incredibly expensive and decadent opening ceremonies for the Olympics at the same time. Are these people occupying the same world as you and I? Do they not realize that Europe, like North America, is on the brink of economic catastrophe? That things are going to get worse, as some people have been saying lately, worse before they get even worse. And I think that is a lesson to learn. By the way, just a comment. I'm still trying to get Kian Bext on the show. He was busy yesterday covering the Jasper wildfire, which indeed is a terrible tragedy. But I will not say the reason for that is the weather, and you know what I mean by that. I have to be careful what I say here on YouTube. But he was out doing that yesterday. He has been roundly criticized by the legacy media for daring to ambush Justin Trudeau on the beach. And it's not like he was in any way threatening. And it was Trudeau's decision to talk to him, because Trudeau could have easily just said, "Hey, I'm not talking to you. My security," the security was ready to physically and bodily remove Bext from the beach. So it was Trudeau's decision to carry on with it. But it's incredible how the commentary that I'm seeing in the mainstream media is how this was just a horribly disrespectful thing to do. How dare you crash the prime minister's vacation and ask him questions, even though he's reluctant to ever answer any questions when he is in Ottawa or when he is in the House of Commons. So I have to say I completely disagree with that. And I think we need more aggressive journalists. And on the one hand, they're saying this was a very aggressive form of journalism. On the other hand, they're saying that he's not a real journalist because he's with the so-called new media or independent media. So that somehow disqualifies him from being a journalist. And I will defend any journalist who has the balls and the moxie to go up and put a microphone in a politician's face, because these people are supposed to be the servants of the country, of Canadians. And they get away with, I hesitate to say murder, but they get away with whatever they think they can get away with. They push the envelope as far as possible. And they really do think that they cannot be sanctioned. They cannot be criticized, and they cannot be subject to the law. They all think they're above the law. These liberals in this Trudeau government. They really do think the law doesn't apply to them. But Trudeau really thinks he works harder than every other Canadian, and I won't beat that dead horse anymore. Anyway, this was going to be a short one today. I'm going to keep it short. And I hope you enjoyed the Kamala Harris video. It's going viral all over the world. So show it to your friends. Tell your family and friends about this broadcast. Please like us and support us and subscribe if you haven't done so. And make sure you are subscribed. And if you need to resubscribe, please do that. I appreciate your support and your interest so much. It means everything to me because I'm putting my heart and soul into this. Thanks for watching today, folks.